Imagine getting paid even though you didn't work. Well, that's apparently what's happening at CPS Energy whenever the company fails to call in an on-call worker during emergency situations.
Our defenders found it cost the public hundreds of thousands of dollars for utility employees to sit at home. The night team's Dylan Collier discovered this wasteful spending and searched for answers on whether CPS is doing anything about it.
He knows this industry operationally.
Before Fred Bonnewell was promoted this summer to be CPS Energy's new chief operating officer, his signature appeared on this March 2017 working conditions agreement between the utility and two unions representing up to a half of its wage scale employees, including linemen, gas services staff, vehicle maintenance, and some power plant workers. The folks who keep the power on, regardless of how dangerous the elements become.
They're the ones that are really on that front line making things happen.
But it's this section on page 8 of the agreement that is now under scrutiny. The arrangement, which extends through the end of next January, allows workers who are inadvertently skipped over during call-in situations to still collect the overtime for the hours they would have worked. It's called bypass pay.
We have a roster that changes weekly. And if for some reason we don't change that roster when we're supposed to, and you make a call out, then you're potentially calling the wrong people out.
It's a scenario that played out more than 650 times the past 3 years, according to figures released by the utility earlier this summer. The repeated oops moments have been a boon for CPS wage scale workers. Not only has bypass pay accounted for over $306,000 in extra compensation, some employees have accumulated thousands of bucks in a single payment.
$3,100 seems very, very high, but that had to be over a couple of days.
Especially for someone who's sitting at home while making that.
Right.
And while Utility Vice President Daryl Clifton said the dates depict when the payments were made and could represent a call-in that lasted an entire weekend, for example, we found some employees amassing bypass pay multiple days in a row. Some workers collected it as many as 8 times in all. How do you justify this sum for ratepayers, people that are going to see this and see over $300,000 going to employees who didn't even leave their homes?
This was a mutual agreement between us and the union. It was put in place to protect our frontline workers.
So what happened exactly? Representatives from IBEW Local 500, one of the 2 unions whose members benefit from the agreement, did not respond to our inquiries over the phone and in person, and even hid inside when we stopped by their San Antonio headquarters. A representative of the other union, the National Association of Public Employees, Local 219, said bypass pay was introduced to establish a fair and equitable system to compensate employees for all call-outs, and blamed a glitch in an automated system used by the utility for why it's happening so often. CPS senior leadership, however, concedes the oversights were mistakes made by humans.
Either data errors are made in the entry of that information, or errors are made when we manually call out people.
Costly blunders at a time now when every dollar counts. For the defenders, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.